Why is it that all of a sudden, Brandin Podziemski's value has shot through the roof? Out of nowhere, Pods is now the sticking point between the Golden State Warriors and the Jazz on a potential trade for Lauri Markkanen, and it appears this is a lot more than just conjecture or posturing. Hey, what's happening everyone? This is Swish Culture. The Warriors offseason continues to unfold with the team one big move away from being recognized as legitimate contenders. The trade for Markkanen has been one of the most anticipated moves this offseason, but here we are, halfway through the summer with no movement on the trade. The Jazz are looking for a new house, a farm, 2 tractors, and Stephen Curry's firstborn child to agree to a trade. The Warriors, on the other hand, are offering the Jazz a very similar deal to what the Hawks got for DeJounte Murray, a player who might be even better than Markkanen, but at least in the same vicinity. In that trade, the Pelicans received DeJounte Murray, who was one of the biggest offseason trade targets, in exchange for Dyson Daniels, E.J. Liddell, Larry Nance Jr., a 2025 Lakers first-round pick, and the least favorable of either a Bucks or Pelicans top 4 protected first-round pick in 2027. Daniels has some good upside, however not any more than Moody, and Nance is more of a low to mid-tier player. Liddell and Zeller are salary filler, and the 2 first-round picks aren't likely to be in the lottery. Not a crazy haul considering the all-star talent that is Murray, but it is still a fair trade. Pivoting to the Warriors offer, if the Jazz accepted it, they would be getting Moses Moody, multiple first-round draft picks, and multiple pick swaps. The Jazz, however, are demanding the Warriors include one of either Brandin Podziemski or Jonathan Kuminga. However, the Warriors are so far refusing to budge, and especially when it comes to Pods. Why is this, and what could this look like for the Warriors once the offseason closes? Watch the entire video to find out. Before that, however, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to Swish Culture for the most analytical and entertaining NBA content on the planet. Now get ready. You're about to get When Pods was first drafted by the Warriors, I was quite surprised. I did some research, and while he was a sophomore out of Santa Clara that put up big numbers, I was still skeptical. He came into the summer league and performed even worse than I expected, performing poorly in just about all metrics and even the eye test. He was by all accounts one of the worst players during his 2023 Summer League debut, logging 30 minutes per game and scoring 8.6 points, almost 7 rebounds and 6 assists. While his rebounds and assists were good, he still had 4 turnovers per game and shot less than 22% from 3. To make matters worse, he only shot 26% from the field and finished the summer at a -7 overall. Needless to say, there was a lot of work that needed to be done for the Warriors' 19th overall pick. It wasn't surprising, but rather expected that he'd be coming off the bench, potentially as the 3rd string guard behind Chris Paul. His preseason performance was a mixed bag as he became more comfortable on the floor, reducing his turnovers and becoming more of a positive. As the season progressed, Brandin proved to be one of the more reliable players coming off the bench, showing a relentless motor, giving 110% every single game. His box plus minus steadily improved, and considering the decline of the starting lineup, this really compelled Steve Kerr to make some adjustments. By the 14th of December, 24 games into the season, Pods had gotten his first breakthrough. Steve Kerr would put him into the starting lineup next to Stephen Curry and Klay Thompson, Jonathan Kuminga, and Kevon Looney. With Draymond suspended and Wiggins going to the bench after an abysmal start, Pods would have the responsibility of producing at the level of a player who was an all-star less than 2 years prior. Now obviously this 3-guard lineup is problematic, especially considering how Klay Thompson had been playing, so this was tough from the jump. While he didn't do so well to start, Pods' resilience showed. He was able to adapt and fulfill his role as a starter, playing at a much higher level than we'd seen during the earlier parts of his season, including the Summer League. These early signs point to something that every general manager covets. Pods' growth as he entered the starting lineup and actually improving it over declining performances from Klay Thompson and Andrew Wiggins marks an important characteristic about him that pegs him as a future all-star. His ability to adjust and adapt quickly to the increasingly difficult stages of the NBA level projects Brandin to become an all-star in the league within the next few years. When asked about his player comp, he was not afraid to pinpoint Draymond Green, which shows the level of maturity in his game. Pods is a player that makes his teammates better by virtue of his hustle and doing the dirty work. Statistically speaking, his rebounding and his assists are big parts of his game that emphasize these facets of his playing style, and this is why the Warriors front office see him as an integral part of the future of the team. It didn't hurt that he was also recognized as a part of the all-rookie team, despite the difficult role he had to play in Golden State. At times he would have to play the two guard as a starter, but in the absence of Chris Paul, he would also be the backup point guard. By the end of the season, he had excelled in that role, and we began to see what Pods would look like as a backup point guard behind Stephen Curry. Now, while we saw tremendous growth during a season filled with ups and downs, as we saw him go back into a bench role at times, it wasn't just the regular season that allowed us to see his growth as a player. Fast forward a bit to the offseason, and the Warriors have made some key trades to acquire a number of mid-level players that could come into the starting lineup or be key players off the bench. One thing is for certain, these signings are players all with the capability to perform at the highest level and allow the Warriors to compete for a championship. The final major move for the Warriors this offseason would involve one of the biggest names on the trade market, and that would be for Lauri Markkanen, and that's where we see the true value that Pods brings to the team. The Jazz are looking to involve Pods in the trade for the Warriors to acquire Markkanen, and the fact that another team can see his value really means a lot for the Warriors. The fact that Pods has 2 more years on a very team-friendly contract makes him that much more attractive. It didn't help that Pods played in this year's Summer League and was absolutely dominant with a marked improvement over last year. After playing the same number of minutes, he finished with 18.5 points, 9.5 rebounds, and 6.5 assists, shooting 50% from 3 and 50% from the floor. He also shot 7 3-point attempts per game for high volume and finished with a plus 10 overall, showing that the growth we had seen during the season is not a fluke. He was one of the best players in this year's Summer League without question. His play skyrocketed his value and more than likely convinced the Jazz that he could be an integral piece of their future squad, despite the fact that the Jazz have multiple guards already in star rookie Keontae George and backup Colin Sexton, as well as Jordan Clarkson, who hasn't received any interest from any other teams. While the Jazz will likely take either of Kuminga or Pods in a trade, the fact that Kuminga will be up for a much bigger contract makes him a less attractive prospect. The Warriors realize this and from some reports are less likely to budge on Pods than they are to budge on Kuminga, both of whom they've largely kept out of trade negotiations. With Klay Thompson now with the Mavericks, it's very likely Brandin will be the starting shooting guard for the Warriors. It was rumored that he'd be starting ahead of Klay had the Warriors legend decide to stay with the team. However, that would be a blow to Klay's ego and one of the driving factors behind his decision to leave. So instead, the Warriors now have DeAnthony Melton as a backup behind Pods, who's going to create an interesting backcourt with Stephen Curry this upcoming season. I expect that the Warriors would sooner trade Kuminga than Pods, but they will likely hold on to all their young players rather than give up either and bank on the young players improving enough to make this team competitive next season. Draymond has commented on trade options that he and Steph Curry told the Warriors not to make, options that would have been good for him and Steph in the short term, but would be bad deals later on, showing their commitment to the young players. This likely hints to the lack of inclusion of Pods and Kuminga in the trade for Markkanen and likely the trade that they missed with the Clippers for Paul George. With the growth that Pods has shown in just his first year, Kuminga's projection for next year, these two next to Steph Curry, Draymond, and the 5 spot open for a talented 5, or a return of TJD backed up by Quinton Post, the Warriors could make a very exciting run this year and even next. So let me know what you guys think about Pods' improvement through his rookie season and what do you expect going into year 2? Should the Warriors just give it up and trade him for Markkanen? Post your thoughts in the comments below. Before that, however, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on all your notifications so you don't miss any of my latest uploads. Thanks for watching. Till next time, swish.